Well, one of y'all's drivers ran into my trailer this weekend, and so I was just calling to figure out like how y'all wanted to handle the cost, if y'all wanted me to go through y'all's insurance or how y'all wanted to handle that. You said y'all just wanted to handle it in-house. What do y'all cover for lost revenue and downtime while the repairs are taking place?
So the repair invoice to get the trailer fixed was a little bit over $4,000. But they just got a judgment against them for, it was between $43,000 and $44,000. So the reason there's such a big difference there, I wasn't suing them for the damage to the trailer. They refused to pay for the lost revenue when my trailer was being repaired. This all happened back in June of 2021. And so it's almost been 5 years. I just now signed a settlement agreement in April of 2026. So I'm going to go through the facts of the case and kind of explain why things took so long. If you ever get hit by another truck in a parking lot, or if you're involved in an accident, I want to go over some steps you should take, records you should keep, and some things to avoid. And I didn't do everything perfect, but I just gotta let you know what my experience was like with this specific lawsuit. So this company that hit me, since all this happened, they've been chopped up and sold for parts. I think Heartland owns some of them. I think the Canadians still have some of it. But it's kind of funny now. I work as a contractor for the Canadians, because they're one of these companies that's grown through acquisition, and they acquired the Daysky Group. And if you're familiar with Daysky, well, they've kind of had the same pattern of growing through mergers and acquisitions. And they got bought out by a bigger one. So the Daysky Group, they do a lot of platform freight through different operations. And so I'm a carrier with them. The driver that hit me was driving the truck like it was like it was a Toyota Prius. He was driving it like there wasn't even a trailer behind him. So this whole situation started. I was coming out of the shower, and there was a driver waiting for me when I got out of the shower. I was in New Springfield, Ohio, at the service plaza. He asked me if I was hooked up if I was hauling the flatbed load of stone, and I said, yeah. He said, well, there's a dry-van trailer that's stuck on the back of your trailer. He stopped him. Patrick was a witness. I'm thankful he was there. If he wasn't there, he said when he found it, I don't think he actually witnessed the initial impact, but he heard it. And then he said he saw the driver was like kind of going back and forth trying to get unstuck, get unhooked from my trailer. And so if he wasn't there, I really believe I would have come out of the shower that day and I would have just found the back of my trailer destroyed and no truck there. And I'd have been asking for video, like if they had surveillance cameras or something in that parking lot, to try to figure out what the heck happened. So if you witness something like that in a truck parking lot, I mean, accidents happen all the time. This is actually the 6th time I've had a truck or trailer hit. And every time I've been hit, it's been when I've been stopped in a parking lot. So if you see an accident in a parking lot, make sure you're not witnessing a hit and run where a driver's just trying to get away. They didn't offer to pay for a trailer rental. And I'll play the call that I had with them so you can kind of understand the situation I was in. I felt like I was beating my head up against a wall, trying to explain to them, like, you need to compensate me for my lost revenue. And there was a difference. I mean, there's days when I didn't have any revenue, but then I hooked up to another trailer and now I was able to generate revenue, but it wasn't an equivalent trailer. And I'll go through all the math that was used by my attorneys, I had to hire 2 different groups of attorneys just because of the state. A civil case has to be, to my knowledge, it has to be filed in either your state, the other party's state where they're based out of, or the state where the event occurred. And so in this case, it occurred in Ohio. So we filed the lawsuit in Ohio. But one thing I did wrong was not getting a police report. I probably should have done that, but ultimately it didn't end up mattering. One thing that ended up delaying the case, the driver, we couldn't find the driver. He wasn't, I don't know his legal status. I'm not going to speculate on that, but he definitely wasn't, English wasn't his first language. It was almost impossible to understand what he was saying. And so he was named in the lawsuit. I wasn't trying to sue the driver or anything, but he was named in the lawsuit. Nobody could locate the driver, so that delayed things for a while. The trailer repair shop was also named in the lawsuit. I guess to just back up the statements we were making in terms of the delay getting parts. So if you remember back when this happened, the summer of 2021, it was probably the greatest trucking market in the history of the United States, first of all, but it was also a time where we had just had this virus going around the country. People were getting paid to sit at the house, so there was labor shortages, part shortages, material shortages. There was just all kind of crazy stuff going on, and everybody in the world was buying a truck because you could get rich just, if you had a truck and trailer, you were making great money at that time. Let me play the call so you can hear. Okay, so here's audio from the call when I decided I was going to hire an attorney. Hey, and this is Todd Blankenship. I'm calling about an existing claim y'all got with me for it's claim number.
Okay.
Did y'all get the repair bill approved? I hadn't gotten any contact about that repair bill or anything like that.
Still going through emails here. It's only 2 after 8, and I start at 8 o'clock. So I'm still actually going through emails. So I'm only had a couple minutes to start looking, but I'll respond back to you.
These were emails that were received last Thursday. So this is the third business day.
You talking about the proof of ownership? And
Yep.
yeah, I responded back to you on Thursday at 4:12 in the afternoon.
You said that you received both of them. I don't have a approval for that claim, that repair bill to be paid.
Yeah. I'll review it, and then I won't approve the repair. What I'll do is I'll review it, and if that's what looks reasonable, I'll send you a release saying that if that's your total, what you're seeking on your claim, you'll have to fill out a release, and I'll mail the check to you.
Okay. Well, this is what I need, because this has gone on a long time. So.
Okay, and you have to understand on our point too. I mean, I've got claims ahead of you. Okay, so I can't put those on hold to address yours. Your obligation is to submit the claim. We'll review it and we'll address the claim. I can't stop everything just to, what I'm saying, just your insurance company. We are the insurance company because we're self-insured. Your insurance company's not going to do the same thing if he or she's got prior claims, okay? You can submit your claim, what you're seeking, and then I can respond back to you.
All right.
And address it, and if it's reasonable, then we'll correspond with the release.
Okay. Is that communication? I mean, we can go over that right now. I mean, my bank is drafting my truck and trailer payments today. So
yeah, and if you have an insurance company, you can turn it over to your insurance company, and I'll address it with them.
So I was already just getting really irritated with them at this point. To kind of explain the situation I was in, the trailer repair shop, they wanted some kind of statement, or they just wanted to know they were going to get paid, which I think is pretty reasonable. And because I hadn't gotten my insurance involved, I was expecting them to pay for it. I wasn't even going to involve my insurance because I didn't know if that would make my premiums go up or whatever. Well, what he was suggesting, go through, get your insurance involved, hand it over to them. That's what I ended up doing. I was leased on with Landstar at the time. And so I talked to them, talked to Gallagher, and they said that's probably not the worst idea, just to let Gallagher handle it. And so I did. But one thing to keep in mind, if you're in this situation, this didn't come up for me, but it could have. Any document you sign on a repair, that don't sign off on any form that says you're releasing them from all liability. I made that clear with my insurance company. This only involved the damage to the trailer, and there's also potentially going to be a lawsuit for downtime. And so I just told them, if I need to sign any document that says I'm releasing them from all liability and this is a closed case, I'm not going to sign that document. So just keep that in mind. They didn't try to get me to sign anything like that, but my attorneys advised me throughout that process to make sure that I don't sign any documents like that. So are you saying I'm not going to be able to get authorization for that company to order parts today? Is that what you're saying? It's not.
We don't do that because if we pay the claimant.
But hear me out. All I need is an email. I need them to be able to order the parts with confidence that bill's going to get paid down the road. Okay, I'm a single truck operation. When I'm down, 100% of my revenue's gone. Okay. I don't have thousands.
You have the obligation to submit your claim. That's what I'm saying. If you want to go see your insurance company, that's fine. But we can't authorize anyone else to work on your truck.
Correct.
We'll address the claim directly with you.
Okay.
Then you can address it with your shop.
Okay. Well, I just want to let you know that we're 8 days in, and my revenue losses per day are over $1,200. After I cut fuel.
And no one makes that. That's gross. That's not net. And to reduce your downtime, you'd have to submit a Schedule C for the full year on what you make.
No, sir.
For the whole entire year, divided by 52, and it's net, not gross.
You got to cover my revenue. Look, from my revenue, I've got to pay for my trailer.
You have to, if you produce it with a Schedule C, proving that.
My Schedule C includes 4 months I took off last year and includes equipment depreciation, and it does not include this trailer. I only had this trailer for 2 months last year. Okay? So that is not an accurate representation of lost revenue.
No truck driver in the United States makes as much money as you're claiming. Okay.
Revenue from that's not money that I make. From that money, listen. From that, I've got settlements. I'm saying top line revenue has to be covered. From that, then yes, I pay the trailer payment, I pay the truck payment, I pay insurance, I pay my driver, I pay all those expenses. Then there's profit left over. But you got to cover my loss of top line revenue so that I can make those payments.
If you can prove that,
I can. I've got plenty of freight from brokers that I have not been able to haul so far because of what's already happened, and I've got settlements.
It's not what the future is what you've done in the past.
I've got what I've done in the past as well. I got settlements. I've got.
Except if you want to get into Schedule C, proving that, because we don't pay additional taxes. That's against the law. That's against the federal statute. Okay.
I don't understand what you're saying.
Because you're responsible for paying your own taxes.
Yes.
And taxes coming out of it.
Of course. Of course. I understand that.
But if you want to prove it, then we'll address it.
Okay. Well, I will put. Okay. Let me get. So you work.
Turn over to your insurance company, then they'll be able to explain everything to you, and I'll address the claim with them.
So you work for CFI. You're not with You're not with y'all's Liberty Mutual company or anything like that.
We're self-insured.
Self-insured. Okay. All right. If I need to get an attorney involved, who do they communicate with on your team?
You can forward in your attorney rep letter, and then I'll forward it to the legal department, and then they'll take over the claims from there.
So I can have them communicate directly with the email I've got? Okay, so there's a lot going on there. One thing, I mean, I was extremely frustrated. What he was trying to say, that they wanted to look at a Schedule C or profit numbers, that was not accurate. So that's incorrect. If anyone tries to tell you, I mean, I see that as a mega carrier trying to just play completely stupid. The loss of revenue, if you don't get that revenue, then you can't pay any of your expenses. I mean, then you're left with, and they understand that. They have to. They can't be that incompetent. So on a Schedule C, I mean, you'll have deductions. Like I mentioned, it didn't include the fact that, well, I wasn't using this trailer but for 2 months on my last tax return. It didn't include voluntary time off. So I take a lot of time off. But that doesn't mean I want to take time off this summer, so all of that is involved. And yeah. I think after listening to that, you can tell why I decided to hire an attorney. Let's go over some of the math and stuff that you actually need to keep up with to make sure everything's done right. So some things that people might not consider, you'll have a certain time period where you're down completely. I mean, just driving to a repair shop. If you drive to a repair shop, well, you're not working that day. If you immediately get hooked up to a trailer and you're able to book a load, like if you rent a trailer from them and book a load the next day, well, that's like best case scenario. So you've got at least 1 day in there. I ended up only having, I think it was 7 or 8 days where I didn't know how long it was going to take. I was trying to figure out what was going on. I got a quote to rent I think it was a flatbed or a step deck trailer from them. And that's one thing you definitely do need to do. Get quotes for renting equipment, save all those documents. What I ended up doing, it just made more sense for me to hook up to a Landstar drive-in at the time. By doing that, I didn't have to pay for the trailer rental fee. What it ended up costing me was 9% of the gross revenue. And part of the calculations that we made was, well, my trailer is a 3-axle, low-profile step deck trailer. So it's capable of hauling more profitable, more lucrative loads than a regular drive-in is. So that was part of it. The 9% loss was part of it. Wind resistance. So I have a mid-roof truck. Well, whenever I'm hooked up to a drive-in trailer, I've got this massive wall that the wind hits when it comes over my truck. So this truck is set up more for, step deck or flatbed. So just worse fuel mileage. And I don't know if that ended up in the final calculations or anything, but I would consider everything. Peak season. So, and if I look at it, it's kind of crazy looking back at it now, but that was like almost peak trucking. If you look at the flatbed market, it peaked in June and it kind of trended downwards after that. And then reefer and drive-in, I believe, kind of trended upwards, just kind of drifted up slightly. And so we were still in a good market throughout the rest of that year. And then if you're hauling Christmas gifts, or you work for FedEx, UPS or something, then, your peak season might be between Thanksgiving and Christmas when everybody's, the Black Friday, the shopping season. So I believe one of the reasons the quartz number that they came up with was so much higher. Let me backtrack a little bit. So initially, we were asking for, with an estimated number, around $23,000 or $24,000. Hopefully I'm not butchering this, but Hochscheid law firm, she had real numbers. So she actually compared my prior, roughly 3 months worth of revenue and profit using the step deck trailer that I had, and she compared it to my actual numbers using the drive-in. And so she had a real difference. And so she came up with, it was north of 30. I think it was between 33 and 34 grand. And then the quartz number they came back with was almost 44 grand. So I think some of that's due to maybe interest because if you assume this whole thing is basically taking revenue that should have been earned in 2021 and then pulling it forward to 2026. Well, if you had the revenue back in 21, you could have invested that. You could have at least had the, zero risk treasury rate, as a return on that money compounded forward. So maybe that was part of the calculations as well. And if you look, her number, I believe she came up with was around, it was just under 400. I think it's $380 maybe, as far as the difference per day. But she wasn't just, like, I quoted him on the phone $1,200 a day. Well, I was talking about what my truck is actually producing, and I had settlements that backed all that up, and I kept the settlements. She was able to look at everything. She included 34-hour resets. She included home time. So her calculations include everything. That's actually the real numbers. One other thing to keep in mind that you should do, he mentioned on that call, you can only look at historical numbers. I don't believe that's true. You can have documented evidence of work that you were not able to do. So I kept load alerts from Landstar's load board. So I just set up a load alert, and then every time an email would come in, I would save that email that showed this is a load that would go on my trailer. I was in this area. I could have hauled it. I was not able to haul it because my trailer's out of service. I would document things like that. You want to look at having evidence or proof on work that you could have done that you were not able to do. You definitely want to keep all of your previous income and revenue records. Even if you don't rent equipment, you want to definitely get a quote to rent a trailer. And the numbers in this case, keep this in mind, these numbers are tiny compared to if it was your power unit. If a driver backed into your truck and your truck was out of service for any length of time, I mean, these numbers would be much higher. I mean, the reason these numbers were so low is because it was just my trailer. I was able to hook up and actually use a dry-van trailer instead of being completely out of service. And that's one thing also, you have to get back to work. You can't, this is not like, oh, you get free time off. They're just going to pay you to sit around. No, you need to get your ass back on the road and start making money as quick as possible. What we ended up settling on was, and this is funny, I don't know how this is possible, but so the judgment against them was for almost 44 grand. Well, immediately after that, they offered to pay $10,000. The attorney, Tabitha, called me, and I was like, how does that work? Like, what is that realistic? She said no. So there's a negotiation back and forth, even after a judgment, because you could be forced. We didn't end up having to actually go. I never had to show up and go to court or anything like that, but you could end up having to go to court. Things would cost more. And to avoid having to go to court, you can just negotiate a settlement. And that's what she did. So I think they offered 10. She came back and said, no, I can actually prove this figure north of 30. I think it was between 33 and 38,000. They ended up settling at 30. So attorney's fees, since I had the original attorneys I hired, Eckert and Associates out of Florida. Well, the accident, I'm based out of Texas. They're based in Missouri, I believe. And the accident occurred in Ohio. So we hired Tabitha out of the Hoshite law firm. And so she took over the case from there, and she did the majority of the actual legwork, getting everything done. So whenever there's two attorneys involved, well, they both get paid. So your percentage will be less. Mine's down to 60%. But if you don't have an attorney, well, the money, you're really not even talking about getting any money. So you're going to end up with the loss of revenue, but you're never going to recoup any of that lost revenue, because I'm sure as heck not showing up in Ohio, or I don't know how to do any of these court filings and everything that the attorneys know how to do. So I would highly suggest you hire an attorney. And I think both of them that I worked with seemed really good. And the group out of Florida, Eckert and Associates, they specialize in downtime claims. Tabitha, she does all sorts of different stuff, but she did a fantastic job in my case. So my experience working with the attorneys, just to give you a kind of an idea of how that works, my communication throughout this nearly 5-year process was almost nothing. Basically every 6 months I might get some update on what's going on with the case or what step we're on. I'd almost forgotten about it whenever she called me a week or two ago. Like I forgot that was even happening. So really you can be completely hands off. Now if we ended up having to go to court, I'm sure things would have been a little different. It's always going to be better to try to settle things out of court. And I think in civil cases, even if it looks like you're going to end up going to court, I believe the judge I think there's a mediation process where they encourage you to work things out without actually having to go to court. So just to give you a kind of concise time frame, June 19th of 2021 is when it occurred. Within a month, so July of that same year, like a month later, is when I signed a contract hiring the Eckert and Associates out of Florida. It was June of 2023. I guess that might have been a time frame on when like the statute of limitations was coming up or something. So that's when a formal complaint was filed with the courts. The trailer repair shop was named in that court filing. The driver was named and everything. And that actually, the driver missing actually helped them initially. I mean, it just delayed things. I don't know if you could say it helped them or hurt them, but it ended up hurting them because we couldn't locate the driver. They couldn't locate the driver. And there was like a formal legal process that we had to go through to try to search and find the driver, and we were unable to locate him through all that. And so ultimately that ended up with the resulting in the judgment against them. So it was just about a year ago, in March of 2025, I signed an affidavit, which is basically just my sworn statement. It's kind of like a substitute for a testimony, being in person and providing some kind of testimony. And that was just, the attorneys provided it. They wrote everything out. I just read it and I just made sure that I wasn't signing my name as a notarized document. I was just making sure I wasn't signing off on something that was inaccurate. So after that, then it was like a year later, and I got the call that said they had a judgment against them. So that was basically it. 1,766 days was the total time frame. I don't know if that's normal or if that's long. It seemed really long to me. And we were actually at the point, so if you look at those pictures and you think, why didn't you just take a sledgehammer and just hammer that thing back into place, that bumper? The bumper on commercial trailers, that's a regulated component to the trailers. It's a rear guard. It's an ICC bumper, I believe is what it's called. But FMCSA, DOT, they regulate the structure of how those things are built, and they regulate how repairs can be done. I don't know if taking a sledgehammer to it is an appropriate repair. Regardless, besides that fact, I just wanted to get it fixed right. I didn't cause the damage. I wanted them to get everything fixed properly. There was a thread on the trucker forum that where people were suggesting, why don't you just like bend it back into place or whatever. So that's why. And Landstar, so being leased on to Landstar, they wanted to see a repair bill and just know that everything was the repair was done. They wanted to know that the repair was done properly. And even if I was on, I have my own authority now, but even if it was just me, I would want it to get fixed right. So yeah, that's how a small little $4,000 trailer repair can turn into, almost a $44,000 judgment against a company. And just remember, if it's your truck, it's going to be it could be a lot more expensive. Hopefully repairs wouldn't take as long. just because of the time of what, the events that were going on at the time. But anyways, if you have any questions or comments, drop your comments in the comment section below. And don't forget to like and subscribe. I try to put out owner-operator videos once every week or two. So other than that, y'all take care. Stay safe out there. I'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.